And we're back underway here. Both teams rested. That ball's not straight from the line out. BC still holding on to that 12-0 lead over Manitoba. A couple of great runs by the BC players. We'll see if that attempt by Bounty comes back into play. Missed 5 points in the right-hand corner. Couldn't put the ball down. Manitoba spinning it out wide now. Good tackle by the BC center. Marshashuk gives it out wide. Going on the right-hand side of the field. And penalty awarded to BC. And they elect to go with a quick tap. That's Bounty. She stops, pops it to her winger. Or pardon me, that's the outside center. That's Fowler. About 5 meters out now. Good run there by the BC player. And the ball looks to be knocked on by BC, so Manitoba holding strong on defense and forcing a knock on by the BC player. So we have a scrum about 5 meters out to Manitoba. So far, early thoughts is Nicolina Bounty's got great pace, good vision from the number 9. Let's see what she does here. But that ball gets blown down by the referee. 2 more games left in today's broadcast. Ontario 1 versus New Brunswick in the U16 men at 3 o'clock. And also U18 men, a rematch of last year's finals. BC 1 against Alberta. That one's coming at you at 4:30 Pacific time. Manitoba ball gets spun, picked up by the number 8, and try award it. That was a good run by Tiffany Pickett. Picked the ball from the number 8 position and just dove over the line for the 3rd try of the game, and BC now leading 17-0. Okay, we are back here. That conversion was no good, so the score now 17-0. BC over Manitoba. Joining me back in the broadcast here is Doug Cross. Doug, gorgeous weather here today we're having in Vancouver, and not a bad day for rugby.
Ain't bragging if you can support it. I know we had you in Ontario back when the heat was around 41 Celsius with the humidity, but this is the way to run a summer, I gotta say.
And Manitoba kicking deep into BC territory, but a good run there by Crowley.
Just so everyone's clear, that's no relation to Kieran Crowley, the national team coach. It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't make that association.
Another good run by Tiffany Pickett. Great ball runner, the number 8 for BC. That ball looks to have been knocked on and blown down by the referee. So we've got 3 fields of action going on right now in Vancouver. Along with this game, we've also got New Brunswick versus Ontario 3 in the U18 men, Alberta versus Ontario in the U16 women, and also the first time being in this tournament, U14 Ontario 2 versus Washington U14 boys. Not necessarily part of the national festival, but here playing rugby, enjoying the day.
Tournament within a tournament. You know,
Exactly.
just soaking up the rugby culture, and I think it'll be huge for all the kids involved to just see what the next step is from the U14 level.
Taken into contact by Boundy. Mueller. Inside center. That's Peel. Now Mueller. Got numbers on the outside. And the ball gets knocked on. Had a 3-on-1 advantage. But just couldn't recycle it through the hands. And we'll have a Manitoba ball.
So, on paper, would you have called this one a bit of a mismatch? BC comfortably in front 17-0, but I think there's just so much depth in the BC women's game at the high school level, isn't there?
Yeah, I think no matter what team you have with BC, you're going to have a really strong team. But I've been impressed with the play of Manitoba here today. They've had 2 or 3 strong goal line stands. The one in the corner on the scrum half, there was a good one on the far left-hand side where their defense held up, and they're playing really well. So this is a good score line, I think. I would really like to see Manitoba get on the board in this first half, make it really interesting in the second half.
I'll tell you what, the game before this one, Manitoba and Saskatchewan U18 men, and it looked like Manitoba was owning the day, and Saskatchewan fought back, and on the last second of the game, they won 31-29, scoring a try. And what an exciting contest. So, the one thing I like to see is the kids don't quit, because even if they're not going to win, they got to try and shave those points for and against down.
And the beauty of this tournament is they've gone with a little bit more of a 7-style format. They've ranked the teams based on their performance in 2012, and at the end of the tournament, they're going to be playing for cup, plate, and bowl. And by doing that on the final day, it gives everybody an opportunity to be playing for something and go home with a little bit of hardware.
Sorry, Brian, I just put a feed in your ear. Is that too much, or you okay there? All right. Those listening, I didn't actually put something in his ear. Nothing smaller than your elbow. Remember the rule.
Ball taken in by Pickett. What a great run, and she dives over again. This Tiffany Pickett having a great game from the number 8 position. That's her second try of the game, and BC now leading 22-0 with a conversion coming from just under the sticks.
It's clear this Pickett cannot be fenced in defensively.
I got no response to that. That's a pretty weak.
Picket fences. Think about it, people. You'll get it on the way home. Don't worry. But great job by the back rower. She just exposes the gaps and makes them pay. Every time she touches the ball, it's a gain line experience.
Great crowd here today at UBC. Lots of action going on. Like we said, 4 different fields. Parents and friends and family coming from across Canada for this one, as the conversion is good. So we have a big lead here for BC over Manitoba. Still lots of time left, though. We haven't hit halftime yet.
And this is only the first day, and you can't imagine how tired these players are going to be by Sunday. But they'll be amped up too when they're playing for championships and for placements and things like that. But does fitness play in the first day? Sure, a little bit. It's days 4 and 5 of this tournament that you really start seeing the benefits of the well-trained teams.
Rugby Canada's high-performance staff in attendance here at this tournament. John Tate, Garrett John, Kieran Crowley, Mike Shelley, Sandro Fiorino, all taking in the rugby action here today, witnessing the next generation of rugby talent coming up through the Canadian leagues. And a good run here by BC, getting back into Manitoba. Got numbers on the outside. Got another 3-on-1. Good move there by Fowler, and she gets in and scores in the corner. That was a great move there by Mackenzie Fowler. Had options on the outside, but just decided to go herself, and BC starting to run away with it in the end of the second half, or first half here.
The danger is that Manitoba's going to see what the body language is when they come back from this one. Shoulders are slumped. They're kind of like, oh, we're out of this. this game could really go tilted, and it's only halftime. So important for the captain of Manitoba. I'm trying to see if they've marked. No, I don't see who the captain is. So whoever is leading that team has got to say, shrug it off. We're still playing rugby here, because as the Nova Scotia women found out in the wrong side of a 97-7 score, things can get out of control in a hurry.
Conversion coming now from Mueller.
This is set up for a right-footed kicker.
Struck well, just missed on the left-hand side. Had the distance.
Just went across the face of the posts there, but not sure those would be 2 points that will be missed on the balance of the day.
Full scores and updates from today's game can be found at nationalfestivalrugby.com, along with game write-ups and, of course, this live stream on YouTube here from University of British Columbia.
Yes, I've seen Rugby Canada intern Shailene Parsons acting as the Twitter fairy, wandering around and taking pictures and keeping the updates going out, and that's great for games that are taking place during the week, where parents maybe just keeping an eye on their smartphone to see what's going on. They can't watch the stream because they actually have to work, and they can still find out what's happening out here in Vancouver.
Boundy taking it in off the restart. BC inside their own 40 with the pick and go, breaking one tackle, and then brought down.
Oh, that's a nice pass.
Switch ball, that was knocked on, so an advantage.
Manitoba's got to use this.
See if they can use it. Just popped off the deck. With the advantage, still to Manitoba. So we're going to have a scrum down, Manitoba ball.
So this is a chance, but based on what we've seen so far, probably not much of a chance, especially being some 30 meters out. I think, and I saw this in the Saskatchewan game when they're trying to do too much. The saying is play too much rugby, where you're looking for that big move to free your player and score the try. They got to do it in little 3-4 meter chunks and be patient and drive down. And it's a lot easier to score a 5 meter try than a 50 meter try. But it all takes precision at the breakdown and not panicking when you're getting tackled.
Unorganization in the Manitoba backline, but the ball is won and taken again
Pickets.
By Pickets with a great run. This going down the left wing now. Passed out by Davis. Boundy to Mueller. Taken well there by the outside center. Now I've got numbers. Well, the ball wrapped up and taken down hard there. Good tackle by the Manitoba player. BC with a pick and go. That was Brooklyn Navarrete. We see on the far side of the field, there's a BC player receiving some medical attention, but play moves on. Spinning it out. Popping to Fowler. Fowler breaking tackles, good burst of speed, finally gets brought down at about the 40-meter line. Manitoba needs to reorganize their defense. Taken into contact. Navarrete. Numbers on the left-hand side, passed out. And two players on the wing. Can they use it? Good burst of speed on the outside. Great cross-cover tackle there by Manitoba, about 10 meters out. Going down the left wing, and we have another try. Try awarded to BC. That was some good defense by Manitoba, but they just couldn't hold on.
Yeah, I think Manitoba is all right at the first up tackles and that, but once you get that multiple phase going, that's when the cracks start to appear. And BC is certainly trained to look for those gaps and start exploiting them. So, again, the patience of a BC over the inexperience of a Manitoba, they know it'll come. They just got to wait, phase, and then boom, through the gap. Players like Pickett's just ripping them open,
You mentioned before that attrition playing a big role here, and 5 games in 5 days is going to be difficult on anybody. And this is still the first day, but it is hot. Lots of rugby to be played by these young athletes. As the conversion attempt is up,
Whoa!
And good. Great
Wow.
kick from the far left-hand side
Touch
by
finder
Alex
kick there.
Mueller.
Yeah.
That was just had enough. Just goes over the lower bar.
I've seen some great kicking so far from the women this morning. That was a legitimate touchline conversion kick. And, a lot of players are just intimidated by that distance and that angle. She just lined it up and let it fly.
So we have a 36-0 score line here. Still waiting for that halftime whistle. I'd still like to see Manitoba get on the board as they elect to go right here off the restart. Good stand-up tackle. BC playing on the far left-hand side. Dancing along the touchline as that ball squirts free. Picked up by the BC player. Good strong running as BC reorganizes their offense. Now, taken again. Great gap. Opens up. Good speed here. And just trying to get around. Taken down. That was a good run there by Mueller. And the ball pops free. Advantage to Manitoba. So their defense holding strong. But Alex Mueller just exploiting that 10-12 channel. And lots of breaks in this first half.
So, as mentioned when you were doing the lineups, and Nicole Crowley, the daughter of national team coach Kieran Crowley, I wonder if he ever expected to be having a pass the potatoes conversation about wing position and everything with his daughter, saying, you got to pinch in on that side and look for the cross kick and have highly technical conversations. Or knowing Kieran, he's a pretty low pressure kind of guy. He'll just probably nod and say, good job and keep up the good work.
Taken. Another good run there by Pickett. Now, got numbers on the outside. Can they use it? That ball gets picked up clean, and we will have another try by BC. That was a great spin play. That ball was popped up off the deck and taken well. Surely we must be getting close to halftime here with the score getting 41-0 BC over Manitoba.
That's got to be a tough scoreboard for Manitoba to look at and still maintain composure. They haven't played particularly poorly. It's just that British Columbia is that good and that well drilled. You're from Victoria, but the seasons are the same for Vancouver, most of the province. These high school teams get together starting in February and play through, and then the provincial seasons all start this time of year. So a lot of these girls have been playing for a good 5.5, 6 months versus Manitoba. They only get outside starting in April, May.
Yeah, that's an advantage on the West Coast, being able to play rugby all year round. Definitely showing its course here as BC taking a big advantage into halftime. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back shortly with the second half here, BC against Manitoba in the U18 Women. All right, second half. Manitoba against BC, almost underway, and here we have it. 41-0 BC over Manitoba. And this second half could get out of hand, or pardon me, could get...
It could get out of hand for Manitoba, certainly.
Yes, it could. So big defense expected here from Manitoba if they want to stay in this one. Good tackle there by the winger from Manitoba, and a run now dancing down the left wing. That's Mueller, and she gets around another tackler before getting brought down just inside the 22. BC pressuring early on in this second half, taken into contact by Sari. BC has numbers on the right. Hit-ups now from the forwards. Now, out wide. Stopping, going back the other way is Mueller. She gets taken down. BC parked about 10 meters out. Taking it into contact, looks like Perez. With the penalty given to BC, looks like it was not rolling away by Manitoba. Looks like they'll just go with a quick tap. Taken, given to Pickett. Strong runner. She gets taken down by 3 Manitoba players, and they've got about a 5-on-1 overlap, but that ball just gets taken down and dove over the line by one of the BC players.
Was that Pickett's again on the receiving end? I think it was.
No, I don't think it was. Pickett took the ball right off the quick tap,
right,
and it was
tall,
taken.
Tall second row player there, then that walking away.
So BC picking up right where they left off in the second half.
So probably Alexa Martin or Adrian Shari. So caught up with Kieran Crowley for a brief moment to talk about his daughter, and he said she's normally a halfback playing out on the wing, coming back from a foot injury, and he says, yeah, give her some advice, but like to let BC coaches do their thing. Doesn't want to be the meddlesome, as it's known in Canada, the hockey dad. Just let them put their points across, and as the fly half Mueller puts her points across, and BC just in steady control here. I would expect the changes to start coming off the BC bench with this game under control. It's time to test some of your younger players and see what you've got in the locker in terms of depth.
Yeah, BC only fielding one team in the U18 women, unlike other teams or other events where they have
Ontario and
three
BC
teams.
are spreading themselves across 3 teams in certain divisions, and that's to be lauded to make up the numbers, but it also puts you under a bit of pressure as a provincial union. You're not putting all your team best players into one team. You're spreading them across the ranks.
Brooklyn Navarrete taking that ball. Another big run by guess who? That's Pickett. Gets up to about the 45. Switch ball coming back in. That's I think, outside center. We have a new scrum half for BC. That's Lauren Kerr taking over for Boundy, who I believe had 2 tries in that first half.
Wearing number 18, yeah.
Ball playing on. BC about just shy of the 50. Good tackling by Manitoba. As the ball moves on, Kerr to Boundy. Taken hard there, but a good tackle by Manitoba. That ball is stolen as they try and get organized. Pick and go by the Manitoba forwards. Popped off the deck as the play moves on.
I'll tell you, CBC just doing a lot of basic things right, the way they're attacking into the line, shouldering things, shouldering the players out of the way. It's encouraging. All the small things that they do right add up to a collective goodness on the field.
Manitoba. Good pace there by the forward, taking the ball into contact. Trying to get on the board here, down 48-0. And a good drive here, just marching down the field as we have one of the Manitoba players looks down.
Getting immediate service there from their physiotherapist, yeah. So a bit of an injury there, and the referee will stop the clock. And so shall we on our internal clock here.
So 5 minutes into this second half, BC holding a 48-0 lead over Manitoba, the U18 women's here from UBC in Vancouver. As we have a BC crowd here looking on.
I think we're going to see some pretty nice numbers with this weather. I think lots of people start coming out, especially on the weekend when work is no longer an issue. And we've got a big CRC game coming up here, BC Bears versus the Wolfpack on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. And most of the tournament attendees will be here. They're staying on campus. It'll be a great chance for them to see top-notch CRC game, the opening of the CRC 2013 campaign. And that should be pretty exciting, having the BC Bears back in the fold. They were just BC last year. And
well, last year they're actually the Pacific Tyee.
I'm sorry, they've had 3 names in 3 years.
So for those of you who are unaware of what the Canadian Rugby Championship is, this is the top domestic-based players, and this is the direct pathway to the national team, playing for your club, playing for your province, moving up to the 4 Canadian Rugby Championship teams, BC, Prairies, Ontario, and the Rock. And then directly, if you have a good campaign there, you move up to the America's Rugby Championship, which competes this year, just like last year, will be held at the Canadian Rugby Centre of Excellence and West Hills Stadium in Langford, BC. International competition, it'll be Canada A against USA, Argentina, and Uruguay. Great event happening over 3 doubleheader game nights. And then immediately following that, we've got the November 3rd test against the New Zealand Maori All Blacks, and then a November tour. So these tournaments right here are feed into the Canadian Rugby Championship, right, and then work directly up to the ARC and then the men's national team. So, these are great for getting young players involved, playing the game, getting lots of rugby experience, but it's also important for the pathway developing towards our national teams.
Yeah, you could really see that in the America's Rugby Championship, which was, what a great event that was in Langford last October. And the crowd swelled. We had over almost 7,000 people over 3 different game nights. And that little Langford Stadium, I see it's getting an upgrade for a few thousand more seats. And they'll all be full again this fall, if last year was any indication.
It'll be 5,000 seats at all those games. They're looking to have them all filled as BC moves back on. Good tackle there by Manitoba. BC inside their 22, taken in by Pickett's.
I'll tell you, Ontario fans are going to have to go to the store.rugbycanada.ca and buy their cold weather gear for that Maori versus Canada game. That is going to be the latest the Canadian team has probably played in the last 25 years in Canada. Now, thankfully, it's going to be an afternoon game at BMO Field on a Sunday, which is going to be interesting, but probably be pretty chilly nonetheless.
I'm still expecting a big crowd. Anytime you have the New Zealand Maori All Blacks in town, you're going to get a big crowd. Just an FYI, it's not New Zealand's #1 team. The New Zealand Maori All Blacks are comprised of players born with Maori genealogy, and so it's not your Dan Carters and players like that. But
I saw the redheaded captain a few years ago. Sure didn't look like he had a whole lot of Maori in him.
Yeah. So, but
sure.
this Maori All Blacks team has knocking off teams like the British Lions before, I believe, and other international sides. And we put up a good showing against them last year. I believe it was 31-19 ended up at the final, and they scored a converted try right at the end.
Yeah, it was a lot closer than it appeared in a cold night in Oxford, at Oxford University, Iffley Road.
Taken well by Manitoba as they're looking to get on the board. Popped from the tackle. Play moving on. About 15 meters out now. Basic game being played here by Manitoba. Just a lot of pick and goes and a lot of pops from the number 9 position. Just looking to power their way over for their first points.
Well, and it's probably the best approach for them to take because they weren't going to do it with a long sweeping move. BC defensive structure just too complex for them to get by. But some hard up running like this, and this, looked like it was threatening to be the first Manitoba score just a couple of meters out.
So we'll see what happens. Can Manitoba push their way over? Will BC hold strong? Now, popped out. Being held up by the BC players. Good tackling. When you get down right on the goal line here. This comes down to who's going to make a mistake, who's going to miss a tackle or knock a ball on or get pushed out of bounds. So, brought right back up by Manitoba.
Last gasp tackling by BC, serving them well. Chance now.
Good recycling here by Manitoba. Looks like they're on their 4th or 5th phase, and the advantage given. They're electing to just go quickly, diving over the line, and scores.
Boy, you think they just won the game, and that's, the lift you can get from scoring against a team that's beating you 48-0. That's the win in itself, just getting across the try line.
And right there, you're going to get confidence too, and get building a little bit of momentum for the rest of the tournament. And great to see that try. I have no idea who scored it because it was a bit of a dog pile, but they're on the board now, and we're about 10 minutes into this second half, and it's 48-5. Lining up the conversion now.
So Manitoba looking very satisfied with getting that try under their belt, but more work to be done. And part of that's just stopping the juggernaut that is BC, but good sustained period of pressure by Manitoba there finally paid the results, and I think that may sink in as a theme of, hey, this never was going to be easy, and we've just got to concentrate on multiple phases here and get it done.
Conversion unsuccessful, 48-5 scoreline. Good restart from BC as that ball goes out of touch just inside the 22. So it'll be a Manitoba ball, and they'll be inside their own 22.
Just watching a dog chasing a rugby ball back and forth endlessly. I imagine a little Brian Kelly like that around the James Bay ground, just chasing with the big kids back in the day.
Yeah, that was good playing for James Bay for a number of years. Very quality club, produced a lot of national team players over the years. Winningest team in the BC League.
Ali White into the line now.
BC pressuring again, 48-5. Spun out. I believe that was Dijani. That ball looked to have gone forward, but play moves. Nope, it's blown down. That was I believe it was bobbled forward by the second row player for BC.
So it's going to be scrum to Manitoba, but as good as the news is that you have possession when it's inside your own 22, you better hope that you've got the players that can kick that ball out of trouble. And chances are, being in the middle of the field, you're just going to kick the ball back for a counterattack from British Columbia if you don't organize things properly. So about 14 minutes gone in this second half. So the two front rows are going to get together again. Wheeled scrum, and now going to have both sides up and reset again, I think. Certainly BC is very much in control of the scrum situation here. I think the new engagement laws are pretty good at stabilizing the set piece, where we used to have a lot of resets. This is kind of a rare animal now. Teams aren't crashing together from the bigger distance.
Booted by the number 10 for Manitoba. And can they, yeah, they jump on it. So it'll be a Manitoba ball here, just about the 40 meter. And there's only one player back. Not a very organized defensive structure here for BC.
That was Leah Theobald that let that ball bounce, and if she had just stepped on the gas a little more and caught it on the fly, they wouldn't be under this pressure. So Theobald back in position at fullback, but it's going to be a scrum for BC. Ultimately, Manitoba knocking that on.
Next game in the broadcast here, Ontario 1 versus New Brunswick in the U16 men followed. That one's at 3 p.m. Pacific. Following that, 4:30 p.m. BC 1 versus Alberta. That one is in the U18 men rematch of last year's final.
That should be a good one.
Also happening at 3 o'clock, Nations Cup, Canada against South Africa in the women's down at the University of Northern Colorado, I believe, and that'll be a big game for Canada's women as they look to punch their ticket to the Nations Cup finals after defeating England, but falling to USA in their last game.
All to play for, and I think, not that I want to drive viewers away from what we're doing here, but you can catch that game at usarugby.org and follow the links there. Outstanding what John Tate has done with this team, and really made a difference in terms of both the U20 program, Sandra Fiorino, who we've seen earlier, beating England twice by two different levels of teams. Just hasn't happened before, and people are pretty excited about what these Canadian women are capable of.
And also you match that with the Rugby World Cup Sevens, Jen Kish and her team finishing second, narrowly falling to New Zealand in the final, and also with the bronze medal finish in Russia at the university games. That was another big one, and Canada's women's rugby just looking so strong right now, and that's something we've never seen at this high a level before, which is great. And that ball looks to have been knocked on.
Big tackle put in by Manitoba, knocks that ball on, and number 21 for British Columbia, Hannah Lordson, really took a hard tackle there, but she was good about tapping the Manitoba player on the back and saying, hey, good job on that tackle. I sure felt it. So it's going to be scrum time here for Manitoba. They're going to have a long way to go if they hope to score here. They're inside their own half by about 15 meters. The pick and go from the back of the scrum now. Manitoba on the front foot. Tackles being put in by BC. Ball goes to ground. And British Columbia now with the chance here. The winger, Sophia DiGianni, coming in, acting as a scrum half in that instance. Oh, she is playing scrum half full on, so DiGianni having problems with that pass. Ball went backwards, says the referee.
Manitoba ball now. They've got numbers out left. Let's see if they can string a few phases together. The advantage. And for not rolling away, given to Manitoba.
Now, if you're Manitoba at this point in the game, I don't think kicking for touch is helping you much, so I think they're going to keep the ball in hand. Yes, they are.
Spun wide, 2 passes, 3 passes, and taken down. Looks like it was bobbled. Yeah, and it was knock on.
Just how quick those BC defenders came up and just snuffed out that attack. It's got to be disheartening, but I think you're seeing some timidness from the Manitoba players. They should be going in there at top speed, and if you're going in at 80%, the 100% BC player is going to beat you every time. I just don't see that go juice going in the Manitoba backline.
About 10 or so minutes remaining in this second half. BC still holding that 48-5 lead.
Gosh, we might need some physio attention by the end of the week for our throats. You know, all the games we're going to be calling could start wearing out.
And deciding to just show and go herself. That's a good run there by the fly half for BC. Numbers out left. Popped off the deck. That's taken hard by Martin. And going off the right-hand side, that's White. And, pardon me, that's Martin. And a good try there. That was a great break by Alexa Martin as she just burned on that right-hand side, broke 2 tackles, and dove over the line for another try to break that half-century mark for BC.
So, yeah, that's kind of a psychological barrier for a team to get over that, and certainly a psychological barrier for Manitoba as they look at that scoreboard and go, yeesh. But, you know, I like Manitoba's attitude, and, you know, they had the penalty there and said, no, we're going to run it. Kicking it away and maybe not getting to touch is not in the future for us, so let's see what we can do by a land attack. Kick being taken by Lauren Kerr. Oh, and she scuffed that under the bar. Would have been a great corner kick maybe if we're playing a round ball version of footy, but again, the conversion's not hugely important when you're in the lead by 53-5. That being said, Manitoba probably felt the same way against Saskatchewan, and they fell and they missed a few conversions. You could well point to those missed conversions as possibly the ultimate result.
It's quite common for games to be won or lost depending on conversions. Those extra points add up. As we await the restart here from Manitoba, not much time left now, about 10 minutes or less. Ball taken off the restart by BC. Good run, bringing it up to just shy of the 40-meter mark. Got good numbers on the left. To the number 10, pop ball on the inside. Big tackle there by Jane Roxburgh. Solid tackling here by Manitoba in the first couple of phases, as they've got numbers on the outside. That ball got a hand on it from Manitoba, so it looks like we have a knock-on. Or no, pardon me, advantage given to Manitoba, and a quick tap just going right through this. Surely they were not back 10, and let's see if Manitoba can get on the front foot here and score their second try of the game. Taken in about 20 meters out. Pop off the deck. Good tackle there by Kate Shavink of BC. And the referee calling it back for not being back 10. So advantage still being played by Manitoba.
So this is a bit more like it for Manitoba, and sometimes it requires a combination of referees help calling the game properly and you know, just having the nous to continue to play despite the scoreline. So, now interesting call here. You're down 53-5, and I thought she called to take points, but I don't know what's going on here now.
Yep, they've elected to go for points. So, trying to boost up the scoreboard a little bit.
I guess. I don't know how much that 3 points will mean in the grand scheme of things. I think you want to be scoring tries and trying to figure out what's going right and wrong with your team. So probably a bit of a safe move, but they also very much Manitoba is aware that that ball could fall short, and it might be an opportunity, an attacking opportunity, if BC knocks it on or, you know, there's a loose ball there. It's almost you know, double insurance policy. If we get the points, that's good, and if we don't, but a scoring opportunity comes out of it, that's good as well. So everyone lined up left of the kicker.
Jessica Kalniuk hits it far right, and BC electing to, nope.
What was that? Wow.
She ran forward ahead of the line and then stepped back.
Scrum, yeah.
So it looks like, well, a 5-meter scrum. So interesting turn of events here. The penalty, penalty missed right, ran out, brought back in, placed down. So we'll have a 5-meter scrum for Manitoba. Great attacking position here as they've got 4 backs left and 2 right.
So I think the BC player all of a sudden saw her future unfolding in front of her, and it was all Manitoba, and decided, well, I better take this back. But she'd already left the in-goal area.
Taken by Jenna Mears from the number 8 position, about 1 or 2 meters out. The ball looks to be held up there and slowly turning into a maul with the advantage given to BC. or the maul not going anywhere.
So they've lost the put-in, which is, it's bad news. But now BC's got to deal with this ball inside their own in-goal area. So if Manitoba can put some pressure on that release kick, get the flankers and get everyone pinching in and just trying to force a bad kick there, they might have a chance because they're almost dead center. That ball's not going to find touch. Meanwhile, on the right wing for Manitoba, no one's covering that wing potential.
Ball picked up by Manitoba. Great scoring position.
Oh.
That ball is bobbled and
Advantage.
knocked on. Advantage to BC. Play moves on. And it gets blown down. So 2 missed opportunities there by Manitoba. That's one thing that I've noticed in this tournament, walking around the different fields. You know, sometimes kids, they see too many Sonny Bill Williams type things where they,
The backdoor no-look pass?
yeah, so that like they make a break, and instead of just taking the ball hard into contact, they're trying to do the flipping it up off the deck or trying to, make that one extra pass, when sometimes it's just, okay, get in, go to deck, recycle the ball, and play moves on. And that could have been one of those plays right there.
When you're down 53-5, you leave the Sonny Bill play package at home. You do just like you're saying, keep it simple. Now there's a clearance kick that will just find touch, so good for them on the BC side to find touch. And they're
so Manitoba, with still time left on the clock, they're at about the 20-meter mark, looking to get on the board again. Manitoba's line out coming from Park. Park up, and that ball is won by BC, taken hard into contact there by Perez. Strong ball runner there. BC with numbers, going with a switch. They sure like that switch play. We've seen it quite frequently here today. Another good run coming up the middle.
Bit of a miscue by the scrum half there.
That ball was bobbled by Digiani, and so we'll now have another scoring opportunity about the 22 meters, scrum down Manitoba. Stick around after this game. We're going to be doing an interview with Jordan Sandover-Best, a local BC product, played BC Bears, and just recently returned home from the World Games down in Cali, Colombia, with a bronze medal with Canada's Maple Leaf Sevens team. And so we'll be chatting with him about this tournament and his experiences. Also just returned home earlier this year from the Junior World Rugby Trophy with second place finish with Canada's under-20 team.
His Spanish must be getting pretty good, hitting Chile and then Cali, Colombia. I'm surprised he's even walking around. Those guys had a hard trip there and back to Colombia, about a 5-day turnaround, including 5 games, or I suppose 6-day turnaround?
Yeah, 6 games in 2 days. Those sevens tournaments can be.
But I'm saying the travel days and everything built in. They had to spend a rough night in Bogota airport, and as a missed connection took them out of play there.
We'll chat all about that. So let's see if Manitoba can string together some last-minute offense here, try and get into the double digits.
So, oddly, look at how flat that Manitoba backline is. They should be steep up. Instead, they're taking that ball almost standing still. And, if I was telling the coaches what to do, that'd be one adjustment. You got to take that ball on the fly.
Manitoba going back to their popping off the deck and pick and go style with the advantage being given.
Not rolling away.
Taken by Tatosi. Down that far touchline. Good run here. Just marching down the field about 5 or 6 meters out now. Can they get one more score here?
Well, another penalty against BC. They're going to be on their line. They can't go back any farther than that. But now, are you Manitoba calling a scrum here to draw those BC players? No, the quick tap immediately to the toughest part of the pack.
Now, down the touchline, just 1 meter out and just driven out. So good tackling here by BC. So it looks like we're still playing advantage.
That final whistle? No. Oh, it might have been a whistle from another field we're hearing, or is that the game? I think that was the game. Had a little bit of time left on the clock, I thought, but
well, there you have it. The final
time.
whistle goes. It's 53-5 finish. And BC easily handling Manitoba here in the U18 Women's. Those two teams will play tomorrow. Manitoba will play at 1:30 against Ontario. That will be live on this field. And BC will next face Nova Scotia tomorrow at 12:15. So that's your Thursday U18 Women's. Coming up next, we have Ontario 1 against New Brunswick. That's in the U16 men's. But before that, like I mentioned before, joining me, local product Jordan Sandover-Best. So Jordan, this is you're a bit of a hometown boy around here. You've just returned home. You've had a pretty successful year.
Yeah, I've been busy. And, just doing the stuff I love. It's been a good experience with the group of guys I've been playing with. I'd have to say the highlight so far, though, is probably winning bronze at the World Games, right? Six under 20 products there, which goes just to show you where the Canadian development is, right? It's really coming up. So, I don't know, just thought I'd come out and watch provincials. I miss it every year that I haven't been in it, right? So.
Let's talk a little bit about the World Games. You're playing with the Canada Maple Leafs. There was a good mix of some veterans, a lot of 5 or 6 young under 20 products. Talk about a little bit about the World Games. What is it all about, and your experiences there?
Pretty much, it was just it's just a tournament for all the sports that aren't in the Olympics, kind of like a bid to get in the Olympics. So it was the very last one for the rugby sevens. So that was a good, just starting off, it's kind of cool knowing that you're playing in the last rugby sevens in the World Games. So just going there with that, and we just went in with the mindset that we got what it takes. We're a younger group of guys with some a couple three veteran experienced players. So just with that, with the experience and the youth and the energy, it's just we knew what we had what it took. And just going into the tournament, we were set. We wanted the medal, right? We knew we had it in us.
And let's talk a little bit about your under 20 Junior World Rugby Trophy. I know you didn't get as much game time as you probably would have liked, but just talk about the experience with Mike Shelley and his team, and you guys lost in the finals against a very strong Italian side, but overall a 5-1 campaign.
Yeah, it was just under Mike Shelley's. It was just he ran a really good program there. Yeah, we just a lot of passion with the guys. Right, it was probably one of the better teams I've been on. Just guys played for each other. It doesn't matter what their role was. It was just we all had one goal, right, and that was to win. And we didn't get what we wanted, but we got pretty close. So it's all building. But pretty proud of the guys. And it's always South America's kind of funny that way with you get treated like such a big celebrity. So it's always a good experience.
7s or 15s? What do you like?
That's a good question. I'd have to say 7s.
Any reason in particular?
I don't know. I just find with my body type, I've got a lot more space to move, and size restricting. I don't really like to think it lets me stops me in any way in 15s, but I find the smaller, I've got more space than some of the bigger guys. Right, I can hit the smaller gaps, and just acceleration-wise, I don't have to run into any brick walls.
Yeah, that happens. So last question here. So what's next for you? What's in your rugby career? What are you hoping for, and where are you moving forward to?
To be honest, well, there's some more trips with the Maple Leafs coming up. I'm hoping to maybe be selected for some of those. But as of right now, it's just getting ready to train with UBC on the 20th. So shaping up for another long season. Getting excited. A good group of guys coming in. So we're getting ready to show you, Vic and Cal Berkeley, what's going on.
Great. Well, thanks very much for stopping by.
It's been a pleasure.
Congratulations down in South America. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back at 3 p.m. with Ontario 1 versus New Brunswick. U16 men here at University of British Columbia National Championships Festival.
So back to live action here at UBC's Wolfson Fields Rugby Complex, and Doug Cross bringing you next game action, and this is going to be Ontario Team 1 versus New Brunswick U16 men's action. And taking a look at the lineups for Ontario 1, Colton Bates, Oscar Berquist, and Aidan Foley in the front row. Connor Arnsby and Matt Spanton make up the back row, along with Hamish McMaster, and Will Chandler is the number 8. In the scrum half spot, we have Matt Yee and Andrew Wilson. In the wing spots, Miguel Palage and Griffin Webster. In the centers, Pue Chinoa and Owen Schimple, and Tristan Stephen is the fullback. Looking at the reserves, Josh Giles Ince, Jack McRogers from Newmarket, Ontario, Tate Ruse, Danny Shields, Daniel Cooper, Cameron Wingrove, Andrew Mackman, and Miles Fullerton, and Owen Rattan, and it's going to be the substitute number 8. In the front row, Dalton Cleghorn for New Brunswick, Colin Greer and Cole Keith, Nathan Matchett and Cody Purcell in the second rows. Back row trio of Andrew Steele, Wesley Kitchen, and Nick Davidson. James Duguid and Chris Como, the scrum half, fly half combination. Corey Robar and Paddy Cunny in the centers, and Cameron Dick on one wing, Jordan Higgins on the other. Nick Summers is the fullback, and Matt Rogers, Eddie Mahar, Jason Ofroyd are the front row replacements. Pat Parmenter, Jeff Gorman, Liam Chase, Jeremy Hughes, Devin Landry, Ethan Gates, and Mackenzie Folkens Grant make up the remainder. Ontario 1, looking at previous scores here. Ontario 1 beat Quebec 19-5, and New Brunswick fell 22-5 to British Columbia. Ontario wearing red, playing left to right. They've received the kickoff as we're underway here at UBC Wolfson's Field from the new beautiful rugby pavilion here on campus. Superb building here. My man Simon giving us the pictures from sportscanada.tv. On the counterattack now. Here's New Brunswick with a chance, and boy, putting Ontario 1 under pressure early is New Brunswick. They're doing well. And now trying to snipe down the wing, and that's number 3, Cole Keith. Has he gone across for the opening score? He's being held at bay, and now the touch flag goes up. So good early pressure from New Brunswick on this Ontario team. So it'll be a line out, 5 meters out. Ontario will have the throw in. They've opted to go with the short line out. I don't know, it looks like we might be right. No, definitely we've got a few guys out of the line there matching up for New Brunswick, so probably a 5-man line out, and see how that works out for them. Early jumping, New Brunswick has stolen it, and that's a superb job, and the straight pass back to Corey Robar goes to ground and snuffs out that attack. So it'll be scrum for New Brunswick still. I'm not sure how. It looked like Robar knocked that on for New Brunswick, so a bit curious there. So on this field, just previous, we saw British Columbia beat Manitoba. Check that score. I think it's like 58-5 in the U18 Women's Division. So now, yes, indeed, it is Ontario's put in. And so they reversed that earlier decision where it was going to be New Brunswick's put in. So they'll reset this scrum. But definitely if New Brunswick can get a good push on here and just knock Ontario off their normal platform here, it could be a chance early for the Atlantic region stalwarts here. 0-0 the score. Ball straight back, and that is not going to find touch, and a chance for New Brunswick here. Oh, into the arms of the Ontario winger out on that side, and Miguel Palage, and now he's doing a chip and chase, and what a fantastic effort by Palage. He goes end to end. What a fantastic score by the winger from Ontario, chipping to himself, going from his own in-goal area and going the length of the field to say, enough of this nonsense, New Brunswick. We need to score, team. We're going. And score they did. And what a fantastic individual effort by Miguel Palage. So New Brunswick has to be gutted. They were knocking on the door of an opening score here. And it's all for naught. Goes the other way, some 95 meters. And they'll have to recover from that disappointment and, start putting the pressure back on. So Ontario calmly taking their drinks on board. Warm afternoon, 25 Celsius here in Vancouver. Mentioned earlier, we're driving into the UBC campus and they have the forest fire warning gauge, simple arrow system and color-coded system, and it's just been increased to a dangerous forest fire situation. That dry here in British Columbia. A number of lightning strikes have set forest fires around the province, but Vancouver still okay as that conversion attempt falls short. And Ontario with the early 5-0 lead. Important to always refer to them as Ontario 1, as there is two Ontario teams in the U16 men's division. So just 3 minutes into this game, and Miguel Palage really put a stamp on this game with just a fantastic run. Around halfway, decided to put the ball on his foot and kick it down the field, gathered it in, and then won the foot race to the try line. And now we're here with the restart, and New Brunswick's fly half, Chris Como, getting that underway. And New Brunswick opened with some pressure in Ontario, but now I got to think that Ontario's feeling pretty good about themselves. New Brunswick has stolen that ball in open play, and now they're looking to do something with it. That ball at the back foot. Now a quick pass off to the second row. Nathan Matchett, he's a big package for New Brunswick. And Ontario's pinched that ball now. A step inside. That's their try scorer, Palage, or Miguel Palage, who scored the opening try. Now the big rolling maul being set, and a little argy-bargy off the ball there, but not picked up by the referee. And Ontario doing well in the maul situation. It's gone to ground as a ruck now. Spin pass, nearly a one-hopper into the hands of Andrew Wilson. Now getting outside, past the gain line. Oh, and that is, you know what, I was giving the props to Palage, and in fact that was Griffin Webster scoring his second try, but oh no, agonizingly, his foot went into touch before he crossed the line. But that was Griffin Webster who scored that first try, the end-to-end marvel that really set this game on fire to open the contest. So here we are now with New Brunswick with the throw-in just 5 meters out. So Ontario certainly in a position to put the New Brunswickers under pressure, trying to pinch this ball now. The defensive jump will be important. And look at that hand. Ontario hand got to the ball, and New Brunswick's going to have to deal with that right at their try line. They've done well, and now driving up the middle. So New Brunswick trying to keep that on their side. Now tight spin pass has gone awry, and Ontario there to grab it up. Hands down the line, that's the fullback, number 15, Tristan Stevens, scoring for Ontario. And just like that, second try of the afternoon for Ontario 1. Stephen benefiting from some sustained pressure. Remember, New Brunswick had recalled that ball from open play and had the possession, and then Ontario stole that ball and spun it wide. Went through a couple of sets of hands before settling into Tristan Stevens' hands. And so here we are with the second try of the afternoon for Ontario 1. This will be a possibly slightly easier conversion attempt for Andrew Wilson. Right-footed kicker lined up to the right. His last kick was well over near the touch line on the far sideline, and that was always going to be a tough one for him. Great breeze coming across the Wolfson Fields grounds here this afternoon. Probably blowing across that ball as you're looking at it. Wilson with an interesting kind of caveman stance as he approaches this kick here. Now he straightens up and looks more Wilkinson-like. And he's scuffed that ball a little, and it's going to fall short to the left. Ontario 10, New Brunswick, nothing. Great to provide this Field 1 coverage for you on the nationalchampionship.rugby.com website. And, you know, we're going to be bringing you all the action. Sorry, we had some technical issues earlier in the day where a piece of equipment called our TriCaster decided it was calling it a day, but we MacGyvered a workaround, and we're still on the air, and everything's working great. Great to have hundreds of viewers from across the country watching each game. We know that the audience is constantly churning because, you know, different parts of the country are tuning in to see different provinces play. New Brunswick getting that underway. That's the fly half Como. Ontario gathering that in. Happy to play some open rugby, even though it's off the kickoff. They're spinning the ball around like the Harlem Globetrotters, having a bit of a show. That ball's gone to ground, and it will be scrum to New Brunswick. And despite the two quick scores from Ontario 1, you know, this New Brunswick team has a lot to show here. In the opening couple of minutes, they nearly scored over Ontario 1, just keeping up the constant pressure. Dozens of volunteers here helping make things happen as that ball goes squirting out the back of the New Brunswick scrum, and that's now been stolen. Great sniping play by Ontario 1 to get that ball back from that set piece play. Things getting a little ragged around the edges on that far sideline. Hard to tell who's got possession. It's New Brunswick. They've come away with it, and that's Nathan Matchett flying into the line. Second row. Oh, and that ball came out, and then the player hit without the ball. Penalty coming from potentially leaving early, and now we're going to go another 10 meters for some back chat from New Brunswick. So the captain for New Brunswick needs to, tell the boys to zip it if they don't want to have the wrath of the referee on them all afternoon long. Big touch-finding kick coming from Andrew Wilson. Left-footed kicker, and that was a bit wobbly, but got the job done nonetheless. Right just outside the 22-meter line of New Brunswick. And this is really the red zone that coaches and backs love, because the defense of New Brunswick has got to spread out a little bit. They've got to create some space across the gaps. Short man line out, misses the mark, and New Brunswick's going to come away with that. So opportunity lost for Ontario 1. And New Brunswick all coming up flat now. They need to steep up their back line in order to attack. They're agonizingly off the fingers, and that's going to be a knock-on. That'll come back, and it will be scrum to Ontario 1. Some of the scores from earlier in the day, 9 o'clock start on Field 1 was a 97-7 win for Ontario over Nova Scotia in women's under-18 action. 22-5 BC2 beating New Brunswick in U16 men's action. And Manitoba falling from Saskatchewan, coming from behind 31-29. We'll get to some of those other scores. We're looking at live action forward pass, and it will be scrum to New Brunswick. So New Brunswick showing something here in the early going. When they get the ball in hand, they are a cantankerous bunch, but the knock-ons and miscues just costing them a little at times. The scrum half, James Duguid getting that in. That's at the back foot, and Ontario scrum half, Matt Yee putting them under pressure. Ball staying, Ontario's come away with that now. I want to say that's number 8, Will Chandler, who's stolen that. And now the whistle, penalty against New Brunswick. Now spinning it out wide. Ontario 1 liking their chances with the quick ball out to the edge. That goes into touch, but will come back for the penalty. Now with a 10-0 lead, they're just going to go quick ball. I was going to ask the question, do they kick for points? But in this kind of format, 30-minute halves, you've got to... And that looks like a fly half. Andrew Wilson, I think, got that one, number 10. And so that's a great job by Ontario, scoring their third try of the afternoon. So Ontario 1 leading comfortably 15-0 over New Brunswick. Not from lack of effort on behalf of the kids from New Brunswick who are putting in a yeoman's effort here, but every time they give that ball away, Ontario 1 is happy to just return the favor and run it down the field at them. Owen Schimple will take the kick here, wearing number 13. Earlier conversions not going to form necessarily. Schimple, a right-footed kicker. He's just a couple of meters in from touch here on the right-hand side, and he'll have a nearly 30-meter kick all told on the crow's flying meter here on the straight line. And he's got to play into the wind a little bit and hope that curls around like a golf shot. Now he's hit that badly underneath, and that's gone to the right, and so the score will stay 15-0 New Brunswick. Just about 14 minutes gone in this first half. Doug Cross bringing you this live National Championship Festival rugby action all week long. We'll be here right to the gory end when championship trophies are handed out on Sunday. It's going to be a great rugby week here in Vancouver. Lots of families planning their vacations around this. You see, whole families all locked and loaded with their lawn chairs and their coolers and everything else, and they just want to see how the kids do. And it's great to see families from all across Canada supporting their kids like this. Great restart. Deep back into the Ontario end. Oh, a bit of a bobble, but that ball goes to hand, and that's just great work. And that's Schimple now gone into contact. Yee directing traffic. Quick offload pass. Oh, that's a great job by Will Chandler. Oh, New Brunswick thinking that ball was out loose, and they may have an argument there, not releasing the call against Ontario. And so some great reaction there from Nick Davidson. You see him with the big shock of hair there. You can't miss that head of hair. And so now New Brunswick with really first chance since the opening minutes of this game. And number 5, Cody Purcell, taking that into contact. He's driven back by a collective gang tackle from Ontario 1. That ball at the feet now, offload to Cole Keith. He spins around, keeps the ball New Brunswick side, but now the referee's going to have a conversation with Ontario 1. And so looks like Matt Yee is the captain wearing number 9 there, and he's being told to keep his players under control. I think they're just getting a little aggressive in the tackling department, but not that you can't tackle in rugby, but you got to keep it down below the shoulders, etc. That's number 18, Jason Oldfroyd, getting into contact there for New Brunswick. Quick offload pass by Duguid, and now that's the 8-man, Nick Davidson. Oh, and punching through, that's Matchett. He's called his number a few times this afternoon, the big second row, Nathan Matchett. And New Brunswick really doing some good things, but oh no, miscue, and now that's Ontario 1, the offload from Pallage. And now I don't think the prop, number 1, Colton Bates, will have the gas to go all the way. He's brought down. Good bit of tackling by New Brunswick to get back and help clean up the mess. That was the intercept that saw Bates go down the field. So good job by the winger, Miguel Pallage, who got that ball in open play and started running the other direction. But now penalty, we'll see Ontario 1 retreating 10 meters. New Brunswick will be happy to kick that down the field and get the line out. Oh, and they haven't found touch, though. That's right to Yee. Ye of little faith, there he goes, and now he's spinning it out to the left-hand side. Knock on. New Brunswick will have the scrum. So getting a little benefit back from not finding touch. The knock-on snuffs out the Ontario 1 attack. It'll be scrum time for New Brunswick. 17 minutes gone in this opening half. 15-0 the score. Ontario 1 over New Brunswick. Other scores to report in the U18 men's division: 45-3 BC 2 over Nova Scotia, and 30-20 Quebec over Newfoundland. Also in men's U18 action. Over on field 4, it was BC 1 versus BC 2 in the U16 women. 67-0 BC 1 over BC 2. 29-5 Alberta over Quebec, winning in the U18 women. And Saskatchewan over Newfoundland, 56-0 in U18 women's action as well. Duguid with the put in for New Brunswick. The take from Davidson, the number 8. And they're offloading quickly out on the wing. So I would have to say that the New Brunswick forwards look to be putting some pressure on this Ontario 1 team. That's a big bunch of kids led by Davidson and Matchett. Now that ball's going down the Ontario line, and now, boy, I don't know if kicking was the option there. Oh, that ball takes an Ontario bounce, but picked up by New Brunswick. Well-organized rucking by Ontario 1. Now Matt Yee comes away with the ball, but not before the whistle and the penalty against Ontario 1. So they'll retreat 10 meters, not releasing at the tackle, and so that will give New Brunswick a chance here. They'll give this a kick down the field, but they must find touch. They haven't always done that, and kicking from the center of the field. This is an ill-advised kick here. Now he's missed the fullback, but really Tristan Stephen, already scored a try this afternoon, is a dangerous weapon. He's managed to shake off one tackle, but he's finally brought down. Places it behind awkwardly, but does well, and boy, that body position couldn't be worse for him to do that. Matt Yee, quick spin pass to the 8, Will Chandler. Chandler to ground now. Yee back to his scrum half spot. Has New Brunswick stolen this? Yes, they have. New Brunswick with big number 5, Cody Purcell, stepping into a couple of tackles. The spin pass from Duguid now. Davidson, the link up to the inside center, Corey Robar. So New Brunswick making some 15 meters now off that stolen ball. And that Ontario player was fooling around with that on the deck. I'm surprised he didn't get pinged for it. Maybe he did. And that is half time. Boy, that felt like a quick half. Thought these were 30-minute halves in this age grade, but maybe they're 20-minute halves. So we're going to take a quick break in the action, keep the live feed going, turn the sound off, have a drink, and we'll be back with live action from UBC's Wolfson's Field in Vancouver, British Columbia. More after this. Ross back with live second half commentary. Just confirming, in fact, the U16 men's category for the first 2 days will be playing 40-minute games, 20-minute halves, just because they're playing 2 games a day. Other categories are only playing 1 game a day. And then starting on Friday, it'll be 60-minute games. More of a player welfare kind of thing. They can only play so many minutes a day. Ultimately, they got to preserve themselves for action, and there is mandates for that. Just in case you're wondering, Canada leading 19-5 over South Africa, or maybe South Africa 19-5, and that's a Nations Cup action down in Colorado. If Canada can hold on to that, they'll be into the Nations Cup final, having beaten England and lost narrowly to the United States in the opening 2 rounds. Canadian women sure standing up and being counted in rugby in this country. Restart by Ontario 1, who are leading 15-0. And folks, I think this New Brunswick team has got a lot to say about the outcome of this game. They're a big physical team, and I think if they could start wearing down Ontario 1, they may be in with a shot. 15-0 is not a huge score to come back from. Off of this kickoff, we'll have the scrum. Knock on by Ontario there, so it'll be New Brunswick put in. So certainly, warm conditions, but not humid. A nice breeze cooling folks down here on the Gerald McGavin Pavilion. At some point we'll have to give you some shots of this field clubhouse. It's only been open a few months, and just so much great UBC Thunderbird Rugby Club history going back to the 1900s, and there are great photos on the wall. And all the people that have generously donated to it have special mugs on the wall to show their place of honor for making this great pavilion happen. It's several $1 million to get this open. As we see do good now. Great service to the fly half, Homa. And while you're enjoying this National Festival Rugby action, don't forget you can watch the Canadian women playing South Africa at usarugby.org/TV, I believe it is, but you just go to usarugby.org and follow the links there. You'll find the game streaming there. And great our partners down in the United States, USA Rugby, streaming those games. Things just getting a little heated there. Big number 17, look at him. Eddie Mahar making his presence felt there against Ontario 1. And I'm just starting to look down the line of this New Brunswick team, and they are big, big kids. And, I'm not saying Ontario 1 is small, but they're going to have to match up at confrontation time. And that can start wearing you out on a warm day. So Ontario here with the penalty, trying to kick to the corner. They won't make it, though. Oh, nearly knocked on by New Brunswick, and now immediately tackled. Great cover tackling down that far wing and into touch. So Ontario will get the net benefit of a lineout just 5 meters out. You couldn't have planned that any better. That's almost an insurance policy if they didn't find touch, that they were going to drive New Brunswick into touch. So an important lineout here for Ontario 1 here, and players going off the field now, so that's what's caused a bit of a delay. New Brunswick player going off, and he'll be replaced. And my old eyes just can't make it that far. I think that's number 21, Liam Chase, maybe going on for New Brunswick. So throw in. Sorry, folks, I had the wrong headset on. We had 2 headsets here, and so you may have been hearing me muffled, but here we are with the right headset. Early jump in the line. Full line out by Ontario 1. Ontario 1 cannot get that ball back from this rolling mountain. Now it's going the right direction. A couple of meters out, but New Brunswick equal to the task, and now that's crabbing sideways. And now that's unplayable, and that's huge for New Brunswick. They're going to get the put in, scrum their own 5-meter line, but this New Brunswick team playing with some confidence, and so they should be. They're really fronting up well against Ontario 1 here. 15-0 the score for Ontario 1, playing in red from right to left on your screen. And that New Brunswick forwards unit, I think they're going to be the surprise package of this U16 men's competition. People cannot disregard them just because of New Brunswick rugby history, maybe not as sparkly as they want. Great counterattack from the in goal of New Brunswick. And now great placed ball now. And look at all the intention New Brunswick has to play rugby here. They're just throwing it around now. Unfortunately, the knock-on killing their attack. And Ontario 1 will come away with the scrum. So in Toronto today, lots of action at Nathan Phillips Square as the William Webb Ellis Trophy was not Nathan Phillips, at Dundas Square. And that's right in the heart of downtown. Go to rednationrugby.com and .ca and see all the activity that's happening this week in the lead up to the home and away World Cup qualifier series between the U.S. and Canada. That was a great hand in by Dogood, the scrum half, knocking that ball down. The knock-on is going to be against New Brunswick, however, so it'll be Ontario's put in. Just all kinds of rugby activity going on in the month of August. Canada playing the United States in Charleston, South Carolina on August the 17th. And then the return trip to BMO Field in Toronto, August the 24th, 4 p.m. kickoff. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster for that one. If you're in the Ontario area, definitely want to be part of the Red Nation that is going to fill the grandstands at BMO with red fans, red jerseyed fans. You can go to the store.rugbycanada.ca and get your red rugby gear. Some great sales for the Red Nation promotion. So Matt Yee is going to get this in for the Ontario 1 team. And now, that's a great run by the number 8 Davidson, Nick Davidson. Memories of Colin Jarvis of Wales with that big shock of hair, and number 8 as well. And just look at the troubles Ontario 1 are getting into with the physicality of this New Brunswick team. New Brunswick's really bringing it, ball to ground, whistle, and it will be scrum to New Brunswick. So they're winning those little battles at the breakdown in the confrontation area. And if they could just start playing down in the opposition end as opposed to their own end, they might be able to start organizing something here. Good push by Ontario 1, and now that's Davidson under some pressure. He's come from the back of the scrum, manages to offload. Now that's number 22, Jeremy Hughes for New Brunswick. New Brunswick trying to keep that ball their side, but no, it's going to be a scrum to Ontario, unplayable in that maul situation. So Matt Yee's got the ball in hand. Ontario, I think, making a quick change there. Now Ontario 1 Trying to get that ball now. That's a great job by the fullback, Tristan Stephen. Already scored a try in the first half. New Brunswick getting back in numbers to deal with this defensively. Yee, he's got the short, sharp passes out to the left side, and now just throwing the passes with a bend, and that's Stephen again. And Ontario 1 really showing some nous with the ball in hand. Quick pass to the front rower, Colton Bates. He nearly scored a try from the intercept by Pallage earlier in the game. Yee, long cutout pass to the fly half. Number 10, Andrew Wilson, also a try scorer in this game. That's the second row, Aiden Foley. And that might crack the nut for another try for Ontario. Yes, it does. That is Puwai Chinoa scoring that try down on the far side. Ontario fan helping me out. Clearly he has the eyes of Chuck Yeager, the famous fighter pilot, being able to see that distance. That was well done. So Ontario with the fourth try of the afternoon nudges their score up to 20-0 with a difficult conversion to come. Remember, 20-minute halves for the U16 men. Just about 10 minutes gone here now in this second half. It's got to be disappointing for New Brunswick they're not on the board, because they're doing a lot out there. They're not just being pylons and tackling bags. They're running with that ball in hand, and they're a big team to deal with. Ontario 1 absorbing that pressure quite well through the opening 30 minutes or so of this game. So Puwai Chinoa getting Ontario's scoreboard ticking over again in the second half. It was 15-0 at halftime, and certainly a long pressure for New Brunswick to keep Ontario 1 off the scoreboard. That's a good-looking kick, but the flags stay down just right of the posts. And, certainly with 10 minutes left, I still think New Brunswick could put a fright into this Ontario 1 team, but they've got to get some organized attacks going here and protect the ball a little better than they have been in the early going of this game, making lots of forward progress and he'll advise no look pass, that type of thing. Score still 19-5 for Canada over South Africa in women's action in Greeley, Colorado, at the University of Colorado. Finals day will be on Saturday at Glendale and Infinity Park. Spent a lot of time calling games there. One time in a tornado, and interestingly, they had a game called off in Colorado earlier this week. The kickoff going directly to Ontario, and great job by the try scorer Puwai, Puwai Chinoa. He just went flying into the contact area and tried to get that ball back. Didn't quite work out, but ultimately, Ontario won. Has got the scrum here. Alan Kelsey in the front row for Ontario. Big kid wearing number 3 and number 17. Eddie Mahar is also a big kid in the New Brunswick front row. Matt Yee getting that ball in. Oh, and immediately under pressure, but gets a fine spin pass away to Andrew Wilson. But look at how quick those first up tackles are being made by New Brunswick. There may be an Ontario 1 injury as well. Player down, but he appears to be getting up. Now a penalty being called against Ontario. They're going to have to retreat 10 meters. Must find touch here, and they haven't always been sharp, and again, it hasn't happened. New Brunswick's got to be more careful with those kicks. You don't rush them. You need to get some height on them so that kind of thing doesn't happen where you've got an Ontario player returning your supposed touch-finding kick. So New Brunswick leaving their feet at the breakdown now. They'll retreat 10 meters, and all that good work unraveling for New Brunswick, and Ontario just wants to slow this game down. They know there's about 7 minutes left in this game, so everything is going to be slow and considered, whereas New Brunswick needs to be, taking the pace of an auctioneer and get this game standing on edge so that they can get back into it. Maybe a bit too much now with 7 minutes left and a 20-0 scoreline, but definitely New Brunswick would like to score a try at least against Ontario 1. Throwing in for Ontario 1, Daniel Cooper wearing number 21. And just before the throw-in, Ontario will be swapping out their fly half. That's number 10, Andrew Wilson, going off, and we'll see who's subbing in for him. Maybe do us a courtesy of turning around so we can see his number. Oh, and just up there for ages, and that maybe wasn't completely kosher. That was the flanker, Matt Spanton, announcer from TSN, Brian Spanton's son. Good to see him playing out there, working with Brian on some TSN games with Canada. Now New Brunswick with a chance here. Look at the great run taken by number 22, Jeremy Hughes. And he just went flying down the field about 45 meters, and then he wasn't released at the tackle by Ontario, and they've had to retreat another 10 meters. Now, let's see if New Brunswick learned their lesson from that last clearance kick that didn't find touch, and they haven't. That's not going to go out either. Matt E. trying to get to it, still in play. No, the flag just goes up, Andrew McMaster. And boy, that ball just got into touch, but not by much. Throwing in for New Brunswick, Matt Rogers. Still to come on field 1 at 4:30. It's going to be BC 1 versus Alberta in U18 men's action. So we have a New Brunswick player down receiving some treatment. Certainly this national championship format is great for all the players to get to know each other, and the selectors are here watching them play, but coaches pick up a lot too. There's a number of seminars that are taking place and master classes being taught from everything from physio and strength and conditioning training and general tactics, and some of the senior men's coaches and women's coaches from the Canadian team setup are passing on best practices to provincial coaches. And, you know, it's not just benevolency and trying to improve the game, there's that, but they also want everyone sort of having the same type of systems going on end to end in this great big country, so that when a player comes in from a provincial setup to a national setup, that it's not completely different and foreign to them. Oh, Nick Davidson couldn't get to it, but New Brunswick comes away with it nonetheless. An Ontario hand had interrupted that throw. Now a new scrum half for New Brunswick, 21, Liam Chase does just that, chasing the ball down, and New Brunswick here trying to organize an attack, and maybe the delayed pass works against them as Cole Keith goes into contact, number 3, big front rower, and just seeing a different spark with the scrum half, Liam Chase here for New Brunswick, and they're stringing a few phases together, and that Ontario player lying all over the ball, and in the old days, he would have gotten a good shoeing. Instead, it's just a penalty 10 meters back, and now Nick Davidson with the quick tap ball. He manages to pass left. Oh, and things happening here now for New Brunswick. Some 20 meters before they get tackled. That was Jeremy Hughes. No, it wasn't Hughes. Hughes is out in the back line there. Corey Robar had that big run down the left wing there. Now the flag goes up, and it will be Ontario 1's throw-in. Thanks to the New Brunswick fan giving me some intel there. Another guy with Chuck Yeager-like eyes. They have to stop off and pick up some binos for this next day's games, because we're back a little bit from the touch line, you know, so by the far touch line we're some 75 meters probably, and my eyes are just old and tired. Too much time in front of the computer, I guess. Ontario 1 has taken that line out, but New Brunswick just fighting them hard for possession, trying to turn it around. Now they've come away with it. Great job by New Brunswick, pounding through. Just short of line, and the hand goes up, and try scored by New Brunswick. And as much as it might not help their cause ultimately on the day, they've got to be happy with that, and they're celebrating it like that was the game-winning try, 20-5. See if our New Brunswick fan picked up who scored that. No idea. Okay, no worries. Valiant effort by New Brunswick and great payoff for all the hard work. I want to say it's number 11, Cameron Dick, that might have scored that one. He was looking pretty ebullient in his celebration. So conversion kick to come would make it 20-7 if this conversion goes across. Unfortunately, time running out for this New Brunswick team too, as we're at about the 19-minute mark of the second half. 2 20-minute halves only for the U14s on the opening, or sorry, U16s on the opening couple of match days here. Kick will be taken by Chris Como, the fly half, left-footed kicker, and he's maybe just snuck it across the line. No, he hasn't. So 20-5 will be the score. Just probably enough time for Ontario to restart this, and will they punctuate it with another try? I don't know. This New Brunswick team's got a lot of pride, and I don't think they're going to want the Ontario boys to cross the line here. The restart. Oh, and no one gets to it. Now Ontario pounding through, and oh my goodness, that's the fullback. Is he going to score? He will too, and that's his second score of the afternoon. Tristan Stephen just staying with the ball off that kickoff, and 2 New Brunswick players, Nick Davidson being one of them, just didn't know what to do, and they let it bounce. And disheartening, to say the least, for an easy try to go through like that. But a heads-up play by Tristan Stephen to just follow the ball, because sometimes that happens. People don't touch it. Bad bounce, and it was right into his hands. A try in the corner, and a tough conversion to come, but 25-5. And that will likely put a final note on this contest this afternoon, as we see number 18, Jack McRogers of Newmarket, Ontario. I think my son Matty might be watching this game. He knows Jack from high school, so hopefully he's catching his buddy on online here out in Vancouver. Congrats to Matt and his baseball team for winning the opening round playoff game against Rowan Hardwood Floors. Tightly contested baseball championships in Newmarket, I'll tell you. So good for him getting that win. Sorry I missed that. So it's McRogers. Oh, he strikes that well, but it's probably going to drift left, yes, but lots of height on it. And will that be the final say on this one? No, I guess there's a little bit of time left on the clock here. They'll get another restart. Ontario kind of having a discussion with the referee. Isn't that full time? 25-5. So New Brunswick will try and be careful here with the restart and maybe get a high restart and get guys like big number 8 Nick Davidson under that ball. No, it's a low offering to the front rower number 3 Alan Kelsey, and that goes into touch, and that will be full time. So entertaining game despite maybe a lopsided scoreline, 25-5. New Brunswick showed really well in that game in patches, and I think with a few adjustments it could be an interesting team to watch in this U16 category. But full congratulations to Ontario 1 for a 25-5 victory. Tries from Tristan Stephen, 2 of them, Griffin Webster, Andrew Wilson, and also Pawai Chinoa getting it done for Ontario 1. So we're going to keep the feed going, just kill the sound for a moment as we reset for the next game, which is going to see BC 1 versus Alberta playing in the U18 men's division to wrap up day 1 coverage here from Vancouver. I'm Doug Cross, back with more in a moment.